So inshallah, we want to start by remembering the fara'id al-wudu, the mandatory actions in wudu. And I think if you still remember, we did mention 7 of them, and I would like someone to remind all of us with all these 7, if possible. If not, you can go with whatever you know, inshallah. But make them in order. طيب بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما اللهم لا تجعل فينا ولا بيننا ولا منا شقيا ولا محروما اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Okay, so how about we start with just making a quick revision, and what are the 7 mandatory action in wudu that without any of them the wudu is no more valid? Yeah, go ahead, start. The first one, inshallah. Alexander. Niyya. Excellent. Jazakallah khair. And niyya is to make the right intention, because if you make wudu while asleep, it doesn't count, right? And we said that the intention here means that you know what you're doing. That's what the intention really means on wudu. There's no statement that there's no, nothing that you say or utter with your tongue. It's more of like making sure that you understand, that you recognize, that you are aware of what you're doing, and you mean to do it the way you do it. Okay, excellent. So an-niyya, and then the second, go ahead. غسل الوجه, mashallah. So washing the face, and then غسل اليدين إلى المرافق, washing the hands from the fingertips all the way to the elbows, right? And the elbows are included. Remember, it has to go from the fingertips. I mean, many people mistakenly think that غسل اليدين starts from here. That's not true. Like when they make the wudu, and let's say the water is pouring, they start like this. So the water would start pouring here, and then they wash this part, and they forget this. That actually does not make the wudu valid. That invalidates wudu. So, okay, غسل اليدين إلى المرفقين, and then مسح الرأس, exactly, which means to wiping on the head. Over the head with wet water. So you don't have to make ghasl. Abdullah, ممكن دقيقة بعد. Okay, so wiping on the head, and that's the mandatory part. The recommended part is that you go from the front to the end and then back to the front, even if that would impact the hairstyle that you have. Okay, and then next to that, غسل القدمين إلى الكعبين, washing the 2 feet all the way, including the ankles. Right? Okay. So I think we did how many now? 5. 2 more. Yes. Tartib. Yes, exactly. To make them in order. Jazakallah khair ya ammi. Exactly, to make them in order. So we cannot do the feet before the hands, for example, and so on. Okay. And then the last one. Jazakallah khair. Barakallah fiqh. And the last one. Al-muwalat. Yes, exactly, you are correct. Al-muwalat means that they are all done in the same session, that you cannot just do half of it now, and then after an hour you do the next half. Okay? It has to be all in one session. Okay? Shall I ask you the question, the challenging question, or not now? Okay, are you not prepared? Okay. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, we're coming to that. We're coming to that. So what I just mentioned, or what we just mentioned, are the mandatory action, meaning that if you forget any of them, the whole wudu is invalid. Now we are going to start the ones that are sunnah. Sunnah means that it was the action of Rasulullah ﷺ, and it is very recommended. But if you happen to forget them, your wudu is still valid. So the very first one of this is to say Bismillah. Jazakallah khair, mashallah, you are ahead of us. So Bismillah is the first sunnah of Sunan al-Wudu, and there are some, a couple of ahadith that are not very authentic, but because of the, because of many ahadith on this, collectively they become strong enough that the ulama have said that Bismillah is sunnah at the beginning of wudu. And by the way, people oftentimes ask, is it Bismillah or Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim? What is it? Bismillah is enough. Bismillah is enough. I mean, if someone says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it's no harm, but Bismillah is enough, good enough. Okay, so, and the Rasul ﷺ has made it a sunnah that anything, any good thing that we start, we say Bismillah before it. Okay? So, excellent. This is the first sunnah of Sunan al-Wudu. The second sunnah of Sunan al-Wudu is something that I guess most of us don't do. No, before that. Well, everyone will wash their hands. The first, after the Bismillah, there is a siwak. Anyone makes siwak before wudu? Huh? Before wudu, not before salah. It doesn't have to be. Siwak means to brush your teeth with water, to brush your teeth with any tool. I'm sorry, not water. I meant with any tool. So it could be the Oud al-Arak. Oud al-Arak is the root that we usually buy, that we bring from Mecca or wherever it is. So Oud al-Arak is actually a root of a plant. And the plant itself is called arak. And is it like arak? Sidr? Is it sidr? No, it's not sidr. It's arak, right? You know better. It has no fruit, right? And they cut the roots and then it grows more again, right? Yeah. Yes. Can we have it here in America? It doesn't grow here? Yeah. In the desert, right? So Arizona or something doesn't work? If anyone knows that they grow it here, let's we can make a big business, by the way. Astaghfirullah. Okay, so whether it is using Oud al-Arak or using a toothbrush, it's fine. But here is this is a sunnah that most of the people don't do. And the reason it is a sunnah before wudu is because there are two hadith here. There's one hadith that the Rasul ﷺ has said, لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك عند كل صلاة أو قبل كل صلاة. Had it not been that I would make it difficult on my ummah, I would have asked them to make siwak before every prayer or at the time of every prayer. That's one version of the hadith. The other version of hadith, and both are authentic, is قبل كل wudu. That I would have asked them to make siwak, to brush their teeth before every wudu. So the sunnah is really to make siwak before wudu and also before salah. And that's why if you have Oud al-Arak, that was miswak, that you can have it handy and you can do it right before wudu. So you say Bismillah, you brush it quickly and then you start your wudu. Okay? So anyone has a Oud al-Arak with him now? Anyone? No? You have different one? Taib, no problem. Do you have anyone now to show us? Okay, you only have it in Africa, but not in America. Okay, but that's a great thing. By the way, it's really important that we show this sunnah. By the way, one of the battles that you hear about in the history, they said that the reason for victory was because the enemy saw the Muslims making brushing their teeth with the miswak. So they saw them from a distance and they were like, wow, how aggressive are these? They want to beat us. They want to eat us. They thought that by doing this, so they were so scared and they were like, okay. So anyway, no, siwak is really, as the Rasul ﷺ has said, مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب. That it purifies your mouth and it actually pleases your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so we mentioned making Bismillah and then doing siwak and then washing the two palms or hands 3 times. So from the fingertip all the way to, what do we call this? Wrist, yeah, all the way to the wrist. Okay, 3 times. Now, that's a sunnah. That happens before you do the rinsing the mouth or mudmata and anything else, right? That's a sunnah. Do it 3 times. Okay. طيب. And it was narrated in Sahih, in Musnad Ahmad that Aus radiallahu anhu has seen Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam starting his wudu by making or by washing the hand 3 times. Now, the 4th sunnah is to rinsing the mouth 3 times, which is called mudmata, right? Mudmata. And the way you do this is that you take water with your right hand and you rinse it in your mouth with your mouth in your mouth, and you do that 3 times, like every time with new fresh water. Okay. So that's the sunnah. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, إِذَا تَوَضَّأْتَ فَمُضْمَضْ. When you do your wudu, so do the madmada, which is rinsing the mouth. And the 5th one is to rinse the nose, which we call it in Arabic Istan Shock and istinthar. And what that means is that you take the same way that you take water with your right hand and you sniff. Not you sniff it so that it goes inside, but it's just you sniff enough that it goes into your nose, and then you discharge it with your left hand. So the first move is called Istan Shock. You take the water, you sniff it, and then you discharge it or you exhale it. Exhale it with your left hand, and you do that 3 times. So that is another sunnah. It's the 5th sunnah, and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said in Sahih Bukhari by Abu Huraira, إذا توضأ أحدكم فليجعل في أنفه ماء ثم ليستنثر. That when a person makes wudu, let him or let her take some water, sniff some water in their nose, and then exhale them. Okay, excellent question. So the ulama have talked about the right way of doing this, whether we do the madmada, rinsing the mouth 3 times, and then do the rinsing of the nose 3 times separately, or we take the same water and we take part of it to rinse the mouth and another part to sniff and rinse the nose. And then another time, mouth, nose. And then a 3rd time, mouth, and then nose. Both of them have been 2 valid opinions in the Sunnah, in the 4 madahib. And in fact, the Hanafi and the Maliki, they say that you do the mudmada, the rinsing of the mouth 3 times separately, and then 3 times for the nose. But in the Shafi'i and the Hanbali madhab, the most common opinion, although there are variation within the madhab, but the most common opinion within those two madhab, Shafi'i and Hanbali, is to do it 3 times, where you take water, you take a part of it for your mouth and another part for your nose, and you exhale to get out the water from both, and then you do a second time and then a third time, right? So in the Hanafi and Maliki madhab, it is 6 movements. In the Shafi'i and Hanbali madhab, it is 3 movements. Both have authentic hadith that support them, right? So what would be better? Is it this or that? Well, it depends on what you follow, right? But wallahu alam, it is, by doing it 6 times, it is more, it guarantees more, more hygiene. Yeah, wallahu alam. However, if you lack water, if you are on travel or if you are in a hurry, then that one also works. Both of them are in the Sunnah. Okay? So, but regardless whether you do it this way or that way, this is Sunnah. Meaning, if it doesn't happen, your wudu is still valid. Your wudu is still valid. Okay? We'll come to that now. We'll come to that. So we mentioned saying Bismillah, and then doing siwak, and then washing the 2 hands, and then rinsing the mouth 3 times, and then rinsing the nose 3 times, and then takhleel al-lihya. Takhleel al-lihya means that when you wash your face, that your fingers will interleave in your beard, right? So especially if you have like a long beard, that you do like this, that your fingers goes inside your beard so that the water will go inside. That's called takhleel al-lihya. That's called takhleel al-lihya, and it is a sunnah. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do that, and he said, "Hakada amarani Rabbi." This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked me to do. Okay. Now the next one is takhleel al-asabi'. Takhleel al-asabi', same thing, means that between the fingers or the toes, water needs to reach out to those areas. So the takhleel means that you interleave the fingers with each other, and that you interleave with your what do you call this? I'm sorry. This finger, what is it called? Huh? Pinky? Aha. That your pinky, that you wash between your toes with your pinky. Good. I'm happy to learn something new. Okay, so pinky. So what about this? Huh? Ring finger. Okay, and this is the middle, and this is the pointer finger, and this one? The thumb. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, how about in Arabic? Yalla, let's see. What is this? Khunsur. And this one? Bunsur. And this one? Huh? Al-Wusta. And this one? Sababa. And this one? Ibham, mashallah. Good. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so and there's a hadith by Imam al-Mustawrad, one of the Sahaba, al-Mustawrad al-Qurashi, who said, رَأَيْتُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم يُخَلِّلُ أَصَابِعَ رِجْلَيْهِ بِخُنْصُرِهِ, that I have seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam washing between his toes using his pinky. It's not. It looks nice. It sounds nice, right? So pinky. Okay, funny. Okay, now comes to your point or your question, which is tathlithul ghusl, meaning that everything that you wash, you do it 3 times. That's the sunnah. And there were narrations, authentic narrations, that sometimes he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do it once only, and sometimes he would do it twice. but he would, and the vast majority, he would do it 3 times, and there was never any time that he would do it more than 3 times. So he ﷺ said, من زاد على ذلك فقد تجاوز أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, that whoever goes beyond this, then it is really going beyond, above what is required. It is not recommended. So either once or twice or 3 times. The sunnah is 3 times, but if you happen to do it twice or once, that's fine, inshallah, as well. Yes. Yeah, excellent. Jazakallah khair. So what if you are rinsing your mouth 3 times and still you have some stuff inside? Yes, you do repeat it until you get everything out. That's true. But here's the point. Before you start doing this, you need to do siwak, right? That's the sunnah. So the siwak should have taken care of this, right? It seems that you don't do siwak. I know that, and your father doesn't do it, so we are the same. May Allah forgive us, Ya Rab. Okay, and then the next one is the tayammum, is that you start with the right side and then the left hand side, right? And everything, which means that, let's say that I'm now doing my washing my hands from the fingertip to the elbow included. If I start with the left hand side by mistake and then the right hand side, the wudu is valid, but that's not the sunnah. The sunnah is to do the right first and then the left. Okay? Yes? Yes? We're coming to that. You are ahead of us. You are ahead of us. I'm coming to that. Jazakallah khair. Okay. So we're done with tayammum, right? Which means that you start with the right hand side first and then the left hand side. And that applies to what? To the 2 hands, the wash of the 2 hands, and then the wash of the 2 feet, correct? And by the way, when we talked about washing 3 times, that applies to everything that is washable, but not anything that is, but it doesn't apply to wiping the head, because wiping the head is not washing the head. It's just wiping, right? Okay. Now, the next one is ad-dalk. Ad-dalk, remember the difference between making, wiping on the head and washing the hands. What was the difference in the process? The difference was that you just make your hands wet and then you wipe on the head. That's masah called in Arabic. But ghasl means that you have to pour water on the part, like pouring water on the hand and on the arm. The same thing with the feet and the face and so on. Now, what we are talking here about dalk, and dalk means as the water is pouring on your hand, are you supposed to go with your hand and just rub it? Is that part of the wudu? It is actually sunnah. It is sunnah that everything that you do ghasl for, that you rub it as well, but it is not mandatory. The only khilaf in this is in the Maliki madhab. In the Maliki madhab, you must do it. You must pour the water and also rub your part. So wash and rub. That's in the Maliki madhab. But all the other madhab, Hanafi, Shafi'i, and Hanbali, it is enough to pour the water, and it is sunnah to rub the part. Now, in those situations where there's a difference in opinion, what does it hurt if we just do it? Because it's a sunnah anyway, and some of the ulama, like the Maliki madhab, said that you must do it. So, okay, I'll do it. I will always do it. It's sunnah anyway, right? So that's how we usually actually go around the difference of opinion between ulama, because there's no conflict, by the way. Like the opinion of whether it is sunnah or wajib there's no conflict, but just one is more strict than the other. The conflict happens if someone asks you to do it and another one is telling you don't do it. That's when there is a conflict, and that's when we have to really, work around this, reconciliation in the madahib. But the vast majority of times where there is difference between opinion, it's something that we can always get around it by just being on the safe side. Let me just do it, right? Yes.
The problem is that if you don't rub the hand, many times you do it quickly, many times the elbow here is dry. I mean, if you just pour water on it, sometimes part of the
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
you're really the wudu,
Yeah.
the washing is not complete.
Yeah. So he's bringing a very good point, which is that if you don't rub, there's a high probability that your elbow will not even get the water there. The same thing applies to your heels, by the way. That's why Rasul ﷺ has said, وَيْلٌ لِلْعَقَابِ مِنَ النَّارِ, that he ﷺ mentioned or actually talked about the punishment for those who do not ensure that water will be touching or their heels as they do their wudu. Okay. Any question here? We're coming. You are ahead of me. You are ahead of me. And in fact, I want to just, he's also ahead of me. So I want to, yes, go ahead.
You say pouring water. Isn't it sunnah to use a little bit of water?
Okay, Jazakallah khair. And teach me, please, a better word, because that was the best word I have to say that you wash your hand. What would be like using a little amount of water? What could be a verb? No, wet is not enough. So you have to get enough water that it washes your hand and it drips. I don't know what would be the right word. Maybe I'm missing that. So pouring, you pour water but with little amount. Would that work?
The word pour is proper as long as you qualify not wasting.
Without wasting water. Yeah. That's what I meant, Akhi. So pour water, but not excessively. Not, just good enough that it actually washes the part. But if you know a better word, please teach me. Yeah. Okay, so when we do wudu, by the way, and that's how we learned from the mashayikh, that we get the water like this, and then we go and do the. I wish I can make wudu here. Can I? Abdul Raqib, can I do wudu here? Yeah. I love that. But maybe I can bring some big bucket here and do wudu. How about that? You can? Okay. Khalas. Okay. Type, alhamdulillah. So yeah, that's what you get. So you take some water like this, and then you wash the hand. Jazakallah khair. Now the next one is to wipe on your ears. Now how does this work? It's actually, the sunnah is that index, pointer, not index. That's index and pointer, two words. Okay. So your index goes here inside, right? And then your thumb wipes this side and then this side. You see? So that's, actually, I'm sorry. That's good enough, but actually this sunnah, or what the ulama have said, that you probably want to start like this and do this side of the ear with your index, and then this side of ear here with your thumb. That's the best way of doing it. That's how ulama have described it. So we start like this, and we do like this, and then this one goes here, right? But if you want to do it like this, which makes it easier and quicker, it's fine. The sunnah is to rub and or wipe your ear inside out. That's the sunnah. Whether you do it with the index or with the palm, well, not palm, I'm sorry, with the thumb, it's fine, inshallah. Yes.
Is it okay to use the same water you wipe your head to eat?
Yeah. So the ulama have difference of opinion about this. And the difference of opinion is because did they consider the ears part of the head or not? Is it another part or is it the same part? So those who have said that it is the same part, then it is enough to take some water until your hands are wet. You go and you go on your head with the same water, and you go back with the same water, and then you go and do your ear with the same water without having a fresh water. That's if for those ulama who have considered the ears and the head as one part. And they said the ear is in your head, right? But the other ulama have said that no, it's a different part. So you take wudu, you take water for their head, and then you wash your hand again and take some water to make them wet, and you do your hand, you do your ears. Answers your question? Now, what do I do? What do we do? Well, it's fine either way, inshallah. There's no harm because it's sunnah anyway. But it's good that most of the ulama have said that the ear is part of the head. Most of the ulama. Okay. Yes.
Can you wash your head and your face and do the mudmata together, like you wash your mouth while you're doing the same?
No, the mudmata and the Istan Shock happen before the face, not at in the same time. Okay, now we come to one very common question, which is, how about wiping on the neck? Anyone does it? It's common in the Hanafi madhab. It's common in the Hanafi madhab. I grew up doing it, by the way, because my mom is Hanafi. The way in the Hanafi is described is that you do your head, you do your ears, and then you do your neck. And it's just like wiping. Now, is there anything in the Sunnah that talks about this? Explicitly, there's nothing. That's why the other madahib have said it's actually not even recommended or not permissible. Because they said, where did they get it from? However, in the Hanafi madhab, there's one hadith that talks about it implicitly. And the way it worked, the way the hadith said is that he ﷺ used to go all the way to the end of his head, as if he has reached to the neck and wiped it, right? So it actually, the hadith is talking about how he ﷺ used to make all of his head, from the beginning all the way to the end. So if he goes all the way to the end, like here, it goes to the neck, right? So that's why in the Hanafi madhab, they say you do your neck. But all the ulama, even within the Hanafi madhab, there are more than one opinion. But all the ulama have said you don't do your neck. And some of them, they said it is not permissible to do it because now we are doing an innovation. It's not part of the ruling. How about this, Ibrahim? How do you do your neck? No? You're not Hanafi? Okay. I'll convert you, inshallah. Go ahead. Yes? Say it again. I can't hear you. No. So wiping on the head is head, not hair. Meaning, if your hair is too long, you only stop at the border of your head. You don't go all the way to wipe on the remaining hair. Okay. So, wallahu alam, the wiping on the neck it does not really have an explicit hadith about it. It is a statement, or it's one opinion within the Hanafi madhab. The vast majority of ulama have said don't do it, and some of them said it is not permissible to do it. So and even within the Hanafi madhab, those who said you do it, they said it is just sunnah, meaning that it doesn't really hurt your wudu. So wallahu alam, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry? If there's a growing hair, that's not head. So the masah al-ra's is only wiping on the head. So if the hair is growing on the neck, that you don't need to wipe on that. Okay? And it's permissible to shave that hair, by the way. Yes, yes. Well, the hadith says says that he would go all the way to here, right? It doesn't say that he would wipe his neck, right? So the hadith is authentic, but the ulama have said it doesn't really give the evidence. That's what I'm trying to say, that they did not disagree about the hadith. They disagreed about the impact and the ruling that can be derived from the hadith. Yes, Akhi. Yeah, please. Okay. Okay, how about you go you go this way so people will see you. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. You make wudu. Okay. Good enough, yeah. You make wudu.
I reach on the feet. You always know we start on the right. This and this, which one is the right?
Oh, so the right here is only about the feet. It doesn't really hurt that on like which side within the feet that doesn't hurt. No, you either way. In fact, I mean what I have seen is that you start from your right hand side. So meaning that if you want to use your pinky, so you start with this and then this pinky, right? I like this name. Did I answer your question? It doesn't hurt though. It doesn't hurt. Okay. He can, and I can give him water here. Too cold. Okay, good. Okay, now we come to the question that this brother has asked, which is, how about when I wash my hands all the way to the elbow, should I go beyond the elbow? Or when I do, for example, washing my feet, should I go only to the ankle or should I go even more? So it's in the Sunnah, or the ulama have talked about إطالة الغرة والتحجيل. إطالة الغرة والتحجيل. غرة in Arabic means the white spot on the forehead of the horse. You love horses, correct? The horse that you like, does it have a white spot on? No, then it doesn't have ghurra. That's not a good one. You need to replace it. That's it. You're done. So you're screwed. So the ghurra is actually this white spot on the forehead of the horse. And then tahjeel, tahjeel is actually a white color before the feet of the horse. Does your horse have anything? Oh, okay, at least you have tahjeel. So إطالة الغرة والتحجيل means that, some of the ulama, there's a difference of opinion about it. It means that when you make the For example, washing your face, that you go beyond the face, like you go up higher. And also tahjeel means that when you go and wash the elbow, you go even more than the elbow. And when you do wash the feet, you go over the ankles, so you go little higher. That's what tahjeel means, and italat al-ghurra. Now, this relies on a hadith. This relies on a hadith at which Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam or Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu was describing the wudu of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then Abu Hurairah said, فَمَنْ اسْتَطَاعَ أَنْ يُطِيلَ غُرَّتَهُ فَلْيَفْعَلْ. Whoever can extend where the water reach and make the ghurra and tahjeel, then let him do it. So the ulama had a difference of opinion. Was that just his own understanding, or was that something that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam meant it to be? Because many of the Sahaba have said that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam his wudu was described, it didn't say that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would wash more than the required part. But Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would make sure that the water would go to the last portion of it, and even to make sure that water is there. And then Abu Hurairah said, let him even go beyond it. The middle opinion between the two is that, and wallahu alam, this is very wise and authentic. They said that that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam recommended that we make sure that water will go all the way to the end of the part that we need to wash, whether it is the hand or the feet, and despite this circumstance. Like say, for example, it is too cold and Ibrahim just woke up and he wants to do his wudu, and he doesn't want the water to go everywhere, because otherwise he cannot go back to sleep. So he wants to still be, he doesn't want to be very fresh. Sahih Ibrahim. So what he does, he makes sure that it only reaches here, but nothing more, because he wants his wudu to be valid. That's actually Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, isbaghul wudu'i ala al-makarih. That's what he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Isbaghul wudu'i ala al-makarih means that your wudu will go all the way to the parts that you feel difficult to wash, right? And that's sometimes because you have heavy clothes, or because it is too cold, or whatever the reason is, right? Now, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, when he heard this hadith, he said, فَمَنْ اسْتَطَاعَ أَنْ يُطِيلَ غُرَّتَهُ فَلْيَفْعَلْ. So if he can go even more beyond the part that is required, let him do it. So that's why the ulama have difference of opinion. Was Abu Hurairah really, was it only the opinion of Abu Hurairah, or was it really meant by him sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And wallahu alam, I mean, there's difference of opinion. I think the most important part for all of us to understand is that you want to make sure that water will reach all the way to the end of your parts. So your elbow is all included, your ankle is all included, your face is all included, and so on. Sahih Ibrahim. Halas. So in winter, inshallah, you can go and take a shower as well. Okay. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that in the day of judgment, the believers will be known for their ghurra and for their tahjeel, which means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make light on their forehead and on their arms, on their feet, that they will be distinguished from all others. And that's why, it's because of wudu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make their light. So Abu Hurairah was like, okay, then make it longer or more, so that your light will extend more and more. Okay? Okay, so who did say to extend it beyond and like who took the opinion of Abu Huraira? Al-Maliki, the Maliki madhab. The other madhab have said, no, it's only enough to just do the required part and make sure that it doesn't really go less. Okay. Did I answer your question? Jazakallah khair. Okay, now the next one is actually to make sure that you're not using excessive amount of water. And that's Jazakallah khair. When you pour water, just use good enough amount that will wash your hand or wash your feet or wash your face. Don't take more than that. Remember that we talked about the amount of water that he ﷺ used to use. What was it? Huh? Like what was the amount of water that he ﷺ would use in his wudu? What was it? Mud, exactly, mud. It's called mud. What is mud? Okay, so let me let me clarify this. When we talk about zakat al-fitr, people ask, so what is the amount? And in many, not all madhahab, but at least in the vast majority of ulama, they said it's sa'. And they said, okay, what is sa'? They said if you have wheat, or like rice, just think about any of these, then you take with your with both of your feet, like both of your palms, like this, that whatever you can take, and it has a tip, right? It's not like flat. It's actually, whatever you can take, and it has a tip. But that doesn't happen with water, because water is always flat, right? So what is mud? In the hadith, in the Rasul Sallam's wudu was described, kana wudu'uhu mudda, that the water that he used for his wudu was mud. And mud is actually about less than a liter. It's about 0.7 liters. So this one is half a liter. So it's actually 1.5 of these. That was the amount of water that he ﷺ would use. And actually this one has half, and this one is full. So that's the amount of water that he ﷺ would use for his whole wudu. About his ghusl, 4 times this. His ghusl was 4 mud or 5 mud. That's in the authentic hadith. And I mean, most of the time now people take, what do they call it? They fill up the tub, and they have those, not jacuzzi, no, they fill up the tub, and they stay there, and they say, this is my ghusl. Huh? Bubble bath? That's, to be honest, that's against the Sunnah. That's called israf. I know that sometimes it is needed for health reasons or whatnot. If that's the case, then yes, no problem. But if it is just so that, oh, I enjoy it, I mean, yeah, you can enjoy something else. I mean, filling up the tub with water is really an excessive amount of water. And if everyone does it, wallahi, we will be without water. And just consider the fact that there are many countries in this world where people never have pure water. And I do remember that one of the projects that Bill Gates has worked on is to purify water in some of the poor countries around the world. And there was a documentary movie where they showed one village where the only water they had was in a little creek. And in that creek, people will urinate, all the dirt will be there. And my dad, wallahi, told me that in his early childhood, there was something like this in their own village. And the only way that they would drink is that they would bring, a screen, the screen. They would put the screen on the water so that it takes away or takes down all those particles or whatever, all the dirts. So it gives you a little bit of some cleaner, relatively cleaner water. That was the water that they would drink. And he told me that the water was not clear. It had a color, it had a smell, but that was the best water that they would get. And unfortunately, now people will fill their tubs and astaghfirullah, and they play with it, and they think, and they do it sometimes every day or every night. So be careful. This is against the Sunnah. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said, don't use excessive amount of water, even if you were living in front of a river. Even if you're making wudu from the river, don't exceed the amount of water that you need. Okay?
Staying in the shower too long.
Huh?
Staying in the shower too long.
Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I think the answer is when you need it, you need it. But don't just do it for luxury, is what we need to understand. Yeah. I mean, you can't really take a shower with cold water in winter. I mean, my son can do it, but I don't think anyone. He keeps telling me, take a cold shower, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Okay, now the next sunnah is to do the dua afterwards. After the wudu, you do dua. And what is the dua that you say after you finish your wudu? Anyone remembers? أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم اجعلني من التوابين واجعلني ما شاء الله. Excellent. جزاك الله خير. So أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. This is the most authentic hadith. And then there was another narration that says, but it is less authentic, which says, Allahumma ij'alni min al-tawwabin wa ij'alni min al-mutatahhirin. So if you say them side by side, it's great, inshallah. Okay? Yes? Okay, excellent. So the question is, I did my wudu, and then I found out after finishing wudu that there were some parts that did not get water, right? Right. It all depends on which parts. Which parts were they? If it was your ear, that was a sunnah, so it's fine. Your wudu is valid. If it was part of the farida, like your elbow, for example, or your heels, then you must go back to that part, do it again, and everything following it. But you don't need to do the parts before it. That is only if you discover this while you are in close proximity or in a close time to your wudu. But if you made your wudu now, and after 2 hours someone told you, but I saw you, and the water did not come here, then you have to repeat the whole wudu. Does that answer your question?
Yes, what I'm trying to know, that means right away if you find out there's no the water didn't reach you some part, follow.
You have to repeat that part?
You don't have water to
No water. No water. So let's say, let's give it as an example. You finished your wudu, no more water, and your elbow didn't really get water, right? Then that wudu does not count, and you have to do tayammum. Don't ask me how to do tayammum because that's next time. Yeah, I did say last time, I did ask last time, is there something called partial wudu? In Sharia, there's nothing. It's either full wudu or no wudu. Meaning, let's say I did everything, when I reached to the left feet, no more water. So everything was done completely perfect, except that my left hand feet did not receive water. My whole wudu is invalid. So I have to do tayammum instead. Even if the small part. Even.
The reason why I'm saying it, some people say fadlu, that means fadlu, when there is water in your hair, you can wrap and use that.
If you have, okay, so that's fadl al-wudu. Okay, jazakallah khair. So he's talking about the remaining of water, what remains of water on your body or drips down. Can you use it to cover that part? The problem though, if that is on your, for example, left hand, feet, heel, then yeah, it is the last part and you can do it, it's fine, inshallah. For those ulama who have said that the used water in wudu is still good for another wudu, and that's the vast majority of ulama. However, the problem here is if the part that didn't really get the water was your elbow. So now you have to repeat the whole hand, and then this whole hand, and then your head, and then your 2 feet. You can't do that with, with the water that is here and there, right? Right? So you have to do tayammum in that case. But you're making a very corner case assumption. I don't think people have that. Like, I don't think this is a common scenario. Wallahu alam. Most of the time, people would know how much water they have, unless they, they are maybe on travel or something. Yeah. Yes. Salam. It's not about wudu? Then let's finish. No, let's just limit that to wudu. And I can answer you, inshallah, after salat. طيب? Yes, go ahead.
If you wipe over your head and your hands are still wet, if you wipe over your socks with just wet hands, do you need to put?
No, you need to use fresh water. Yeah. And wiping on the socks, I will come to it. We didn't cover it yet. But for every part, you need to use fresh water. And that's why the difference of opinion between ulama about the ear. Because those who said you need to use fresh water, they said that the ear is not part of the head. Right? Yes? Okay, Jazakallah khair. So could someone help us with this? The question is, when you first turn on your water tap, sometimes you get water with I don't know what is it, chloride or anything that some chemicals that makes it chlorine, yeah, that makes it white. But if you leave it to get still, it goes back to clear, right? Right? It disappears. So what is that? From the water well? Okay, what about it?
Yeah, so sometimes they have to go very early, according to this question, to get the fresh water.
Uh-huh.
But as time goes, the water becomes white. However, the water is still coming from the same source.
Why would it be white?
I think it's a soil type.
Yeah. So Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was asked about Bi'r Qudaa. And that was a water well in their time where people used to throw dirt in it. And he was asked, does that change the status of this water? Like, is it permissible to still make wudu with it? And he ﷺ said that it is, he said, هو طهور لا ينجسه شيء. which means that it is big, it's a big amount of water in the water well that nothing really would hurt it. So if the water is in its nature form, but has some coloring on it in the water well, and it was not changed because of some human action, then it is still pure. And that's why, akhi, when you go to the ocean, the water is salty, right? And sometimes, especially when it may have the scum, right, on it. So that's still tahur. You can use that water for wudu because it's on its natural form. So if the water well was not changed by human, they didn't really make it deliberately to change the water, then it is remaining on its natural form and it's fine, inshallah. So the water is good. Okay, so okay, it's time, right, for iqamah, for salat. Okay, so I think we are. One last thing is salatu rak'ataini ba'da al-wudu. So the last sunnah after making the dua, what was the dua? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Allahumma ij'alni min at-tawwabin wa ij'alni min al-mutatahhirin. The last thing is to make 2 rak'ah after wudu. And that is coming from a hadith of about Bilal ibn Rabah. Bilal radiallahu anhu, who was the mu'adhin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, had a very beautiful hadith, or there's a very beautiful hadith about him. And the hadith says that he saw saw Bilal in Jannah, and he heard his khaffu na'lay, that like the when you walk and with your shoes, it has this the noise that comes. Okay, the noise, especially if you have like okay, whatever. So that he said, I heard the noise or the voice, not voice, the sound of your footsteps. I'm talking about the sound, not the footsteps. He said, I heard the sound of your footsteps. So what was it, Ya Bilal, that made you special? Like he saw him and he didn't see others. Like he talked about him in particular, not about others, although he saw talked about other Sahaba for a separate and different occasion. But for Bilal, he said, on that time, I heard the sound of your footsteps in Jannah. So what was it so special about you, O Bilal? He, radiallahu anhu ardah, said that I never made a wudu except that I will follow it up with a prayer. So from that hadith, many ulama have said that there's something called Sunnatul Wudu, which means that you make 2 rak'ah after wudu. But here is very good, important explanation about this, which is what the ulama have agreed upon is that after every wudu there is a salah, whether that would be faridah or something that has like a reason, like salat al-janaza or salat al-jumu'ah or salat al-eid, or if not, then do 2 rak'ah. Just like you come to the masjid, isn't there something called tahiyyat al-masjid, greeting of the masjid? What is it? The greeting of a masjid means that you do not sit down until you pray. So if there is a prayer already in session, then you join it. If not, then don't sit down, go ahead and do 2 rak'ah. Does that mean that you must do the 2 rak'ah? No, it means that you should not sit down until you pray. And if there's no current prayer in session, then go ahead and do 2 rak'ah. It's called tahiyyat al-masjid, the greeting of masjid. Same thing with wudu. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu will never do wudu and waste it. Every wudu for him will be followed by a prayer, right? So if you do wudu before you go to bed, make sure that you make 2 rak'ahs, right? Don't make a wudu that will be wasted. You see the point? So that was the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu wa ardah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this. And and there's a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari at which when he sallallahu described the way he does his wudu, Ya Umar, he said, whoever makes wudu just like me, like him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then prays 2 rak'ah that in which he will not be distracted, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive all of his past sins. This is in Sahih Bukhari. So that's why the ulama have said that part of the tawbah, like if you do a sin, nasamahullah, and you want to make tawbah, it's good that you make wudu, and then 2 rak'ah in which you make sure that you are very focused, very with a lot of khushu', no distraction, and that for doing this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive your past sins, inshallah. طيب سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Make adhan inshallah.